of what you don't know is hurting you. Welcome, Marion.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what I don't know is hurting me. So it goes to these Rumsfeld, the unknown unknowns.
Yes, exactly. So the things that people don't know, you can't hold them accountable for not doing. So that's why I wrote the book, because I want to make sure everyone has the tools and information. And if they want to grow, now they can grow. It's all about access to information.
Interesting. So how do I know what I don't know?
Well, one of the things is to read the book.
First step.
First step.
See, this is an effective entrepreneur pitching his product. Yes.
Yes, to read the book. But the 4 keys, and I call them the 4 Ps, that are so important that you have to tap into and understand that will either accelerate or derail your career at some point. Number 1 is performance, and the difference between IQ and EQ, emotional intelligence, on how you perform. Number 2 is around perceptions. What is your brand? How to build an effective brand and manage it effectively. Number 3 is around positioning. Who are the people that are in your network, right? So how do you show up and look like you are a connector versus a parasite when you're networking? A parasite. So, right?
Ouch, a parasite.
Let me tell you, I have heard so many people say, I don't feel comfortable going places, especially if they're very successful, because they feel like everyone is trying to take something from them. Right. So that's why I use the analogy of the parasite. So I want to help people understand how to do that, and also how to build an effective developmental or career plan. Once you know where you want to go, it's much easier.
So the last P is plan.
No, the last one is persistence.
Oh, okay.
No matter how well you plan, things are going to happen. But what separates average lives and careers from exceptional is discipline.
Ooh, I have trouble with that sometimes. I'm one of those millennials who's just like, I want it now.
Exactly.
Like that girl from Willy Wonka, I want it now, Daddy.
Yes. So those are the 4 Ps, and the terms are very simple, but the details are where the opportunity is for most people. And so my goal is to give access to that information. So according to the Harvard Business Review, only 5% of people in business are considered high potentials. And they get access. Only 5%.
That's like
of
a
people.
sales tax.
Yeah, only 5%. They're considered the high potentials. And they get access to information, tools, training, and support. Network, all of the things that the other 95% of people don't get. I was one of those high potentials. Now I'm an executive coach as well. So I've taken all of those secrets and pulled the veil back and put it in this book so everyone has access. So those who want to grow and accelerate, grow and accelerate.
Awesome. That sounds good.
Yeah, the growth and acceleration always sounds nice. We've been talking a lot about growth today.
Sounds like green.
So, one of the things, and I run a large internship program, and one of the things that I notice is that a lot of times my weakest interns don't know how to freely admit their own weaknesses.
Yes.
Is that something that you talk about?
Yes. So actually there was major research done with CEOs of corporations, and they asked, why do qualified people not get promoted? And the top 2 reasons, number 1, lack of social skills.
Yes.
Number 2, the inability to accept feedback.
Oh,
those are the top 2 reasons.
Inability to accept feedback. So basically you tell them that, you're not so good at this, maybe you need some help, and they don't like it.
And they get very defensive, or you try to coach them on something and they start making excuses for why they didn't do it versus understanding the feedback and applying it and growing.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You could be a great performer, but if you don't have the soft skills and be able to take certain development feedback.
Absolutely.
And if you don't do anything with it, then you lose your opportunity to get into the 5%.
Exactly, because no one wants to invest in someone who's not invested in themselves around growing.
Oh.
Right. And there's a certain element of being humble as well.
It is, and that's where the emotional intelligence comes in, because my definition is the ability to manage yourself and your environment more effectively to get better outcomes. And part of that is taking feedback, processing the feedback, and then being able to say, okay, now these are the things that I'm going to do differently, or these are the people I'm going to reach out to for help.
It also sounds like you have to train yourself to take that feedback, be humble, right? Because if you rise up in a corporation, you actually assume more power. But can you be responsible with that power?
And that is a great point. There's a difference between being a leader and a manager. Leaders inspire people to do things. Managers require people to do things. And when you're inspired to do something, you're giving 150% all the time. When you're required to do it, at 5 o'clock, you're done.
Right.
So you have to make sure that you are at those next levels in the organization, inspiring excellence.
You have to go beyond the
But
clock.
that's EQ, and I think a lot of people who are very high up don't understand that.
They don't.
If you frame things, life is about packaging. If you package things differently, I'd be happy to stay after 5. I'd be happy to do the extra
True.
mile. If you're telling me I have to do this and I have to do that, I'm going to look at the clock and say, you know what, I'm headed home.
Well, that's why the first P is around performance and the difference between EQ and IQ. And there's been a lot of research around that. And the experts say 80% of success, the success equation, is going to be based on EQ, 20% on IQ. So there are a lot of smart people out there, as you just said, but there are not a lot of emotionally intelligent people. If you want to separate yourself from the crowd, work on your EQ and you will rise.
And what are simple things that we can do to be more, likable, affable, inspiring?
Smile is number one.
Yes,
Right?
exactly. Smile is number one. Be able to take feedback and genuinely listen to other people. So a lot of the times we listen to respond versus listening to understand. So I say listen 80%. Talk 20% if you're really trying to understand the other person's point of view. So that's one thing. Another thing that you can do is reflection. It's a very simple thing, and I have my clients start with it. When your day ends, professional or your personal, identify one thing that didn't go well, and then think about what would the ideal outcome have been and what you could have done differently.
I do that all the time.
You do it? Okay.
Yes.
So you're working on your EQ already.
I am working on
That's
it. I'm
self-awareness.
trying.
That's self-awareness.
No,
Right.
we all have things we don't do so well. I'm too brutally honest a lot.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
you have to learn how to manage it.
You have to learn how to manage it, because I always ask people when they say, well, this is how I am. And I say, well, how's that working for you? And if you want better results, you have to make some adjustments. And I help people make those adjustments so they can accelerate.
Awesome.
Take that feedback and be a leader. Thank you so much.
Well, buy the
for
book
joining
first.
us. Oh, buy the book first. Yeah, go ahead. Pitch your book before you leave.
Yes. So the book is What You Don't Know Is Hurting You, The 4 Keys to a Phenomenal Career. There I am. 4 Keys to a Phenomenal Career. It is an easy read, an impactful read. And once you understand the 4, you will grow. You will grow.
Sounds like you should be teaching pitching as well to students. Maybe he's a good guest for your students. John, thank you so much, Miriam, for joining
you.
us.
Great.